I'm curious because you mentioned earlier as it's your job to find the money to fuel the anime. Surely when a show takes 5 years, that's a lot more money that we got to get a hold of. How do you how do you convince people to be like, it'll make enough money? Trust me, it'll work. What's that whole? Because I'm just so interested about the financials of it all, because it seems like such a kind of an industry that doesn't have a lot of money, but somehow it always just turns up, and it's like, we'll figure it out.
So a lot of Japan is not really legal culture, so it's a lot about trust, word of mouth. So I mean, Orange luckily had a track record of making amazing shows, so animation at least. So we basically were building on that trust, working on that trust, and just constantly just saying that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But
just take our word for it. Don't worry about it.
And so because I don't know how any of this works, as a studio that actually makes the show, how is it the studio actually makes money from these shows? Is it, what kind of ways of getting revenue is there for the studios?
It depends it really depends on
the show,
widely on how each show is.
Oh, okay.
For Orange, the primary is we're work for hire. So we were hired by a client to do one show.
Okay.
That makes way more sense. I thought it was like, okay, guys, we got to sell this many REM figures, or we're going broke this year.
All right, crack open the savings account, boys.
Everyone pitch in $1,000.
All right, boys, we're making a REM spin-off. We got to get those figure sales up, guys.
Yeah, I always wondered how it all, because it seemed like it was a lot of different rights holders and a lot of different parties at play, and it just seems like a really complicated mess of who gets what money and why there's so many different things. And wait, why is Rem on a pachinko machine? What the hell? It's like a bunch of different things going on. It always seems just kind of like trust me, trust me, it'll be fine kind of approach a lot of the time.
So how long does it take to produce a single episode of anime? Let's say like a single 20-minute episode of anime. In your experience, how long does that take to make?
So a normal production would say like 3 months, but that's not for Orange normal production.
Right.
In Orange's case, we actually make about 3 episodes at once.
Right.
And then find what's the quality line, and then based off of there, make the rest other episodes.
Right.
So that first 3 episodes is a benchmark maker.
What do you mean by the quality line?
This is the quality benchmark that we're trying to set.
Well, you set yourself a really high benchmark.
Yeah.
I've seen that first episode of Trigun.
So you go like
you should hear me talking to my boss.
I get it. I get it.
Please don't set it so high. Please don't set it so high.
Oh, so you could be like, guys, pump the brakes on this one. Let's make this shittier. We got to make 50 goddamn episodes of this. We got to slow down.
I just like to think
you don't know how many times for every single project I say, we are doing better than any other show.
So it's your job to be like, guys, make it worse. Please stop this.
I just like to imagine like episode 1 just like airs for everyone in the studio to watch. Everyone's just sweating, thinking like, oh fuck, we got to top this.
Yeah, it does feel like when when your older brother is like smart, you're like, fuck's sake, man, really?
Stop.
No, I look worse.
Be dumb.
Like I remember like Trigun Stampede episode 1. It opens on a scene where it's like the spaceship is like exploding, and you see Vash and Nice like flying out.
Oh, just like whizzing?
Like whizzing around. And I remember watching that, I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
I suppose you watched that and you're like, we got 12 episodes of this that we're gonna keep up to?
That was okay. That was okay. When I saw the 12 episode when they were doing it, I'm like, I messaged my everyone in the company. I'm like, how are you doing this?
It's like, we're fucked, boys.
Yeah. I've noticed now, because there is so much anime being made, it's like more competitive than ever in terms of like shows that you got to compete with. There's a lot more pressure to make like episode 1 a standout episode to get people's attention. Do you have that mindset going into like producing an anime, that you have to make episode 1 stick or land as soon as possible, or is that something that it's not really thought about?
Definitely it's a weekly show, so the first episode really matters. Also, we in our mind, for our based on our experience with Landlustrious.
Yeah.
Is that first 3 episodes that really matters.
The 3-episode rule.
Oh my god! It's canon!
They use it in the industry, boys.
Canon! Oh my god!
The 3-episode rule.
Oh my god.
But there's actually a reason for that as well. The Trigun Stampede was based on a movie, the three-part movie. I don't know the English
trilogy.
No. How it's Act 1, Act 2. Act
Oh
3.
yeah,
Oh.
the 3-act rule.
So it was based on 3-act rule. So the first 3 episodes was the first act.
Right.
From there it changes the tone again. So,
Right. Would you say that Trigun was the hardest production you've been involved with?
Yes,
so far?
every single production is always hard, but it just updates whatever.
Just gets harder and harder and harder. Yeah.
How was working on Beastars compared to Trigun?
Say no more.
So Beastars, our animator took 1 week to do 1 shot. And Trigun Stampede took 3 weeks to do 1 shot.
God damn. I mean, I guess, if you have to animate clothes on characters in Trigun versus not many clothes.
Faces.
Oh, the face.
Yeah, because I noticed, I'm not sure if this was always the case, but I definitely noticed in Trigun that you guys lip synced the audio, which I'm like, you're not using the 3 frames of the mouth which I'm used to. You're actually going frame by frame and animating the facial expressions as well, which which is one thing that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
So going to Beastars then, how was that pre-production? Was there as much time put into, let's say, the world building and the vibe going into that production?
Beastars case, we never, the original intention for our producing is that we love Beastars. Yeah. And the whole the producing team was that the first page was that let's adapt this as it is to animation. So it wasn't that as hard as that.
Okay. So was Itagaki Sensei involved as much as Naito Sensei was with Beastars? Or?
In different ways. So in her case, she wasn't actually used to anime. She wasn't really familiar first of all anime.
Right.
So she was a lot more experienced with film.
Oh.
So for us, our challenge was, can we show this as a film to her and it's something passable to her?
That explains so much.
That's crazy to think that you the whole way the show is made is just to kind of, I guess, please one person, essentially. That's so odd to think.
It's also odd to think that she was never into anime, considering she's the daughter of fucking the creator of Baki. Yeah. You'd think you'd be into it, but
really an anime for a long time, right?
I guess so. Oh, I mean, there was the 90s Scrapple Baki anime, but
yeah. Well, I think that's part of the big reason why, Beastars just, I don't know, something about the vibe just didn't feel like
it's
an
very
anime.
odd.
Yeah,
it's very odd.
It makes so much sense because I feel, unlike a lot of manga stories out there, the flow of Beastars definitely feels more like a live action film than a standard manga.
I'm just gonna say it's very weird.
Yeah,
it's just weird. Is there ever a point where you guys are animating and you're like, what the fuck is this? You're like, oh my god, what are we animating?
It's like, okay, boys, I don't know how to tell you this, but we're gonna have to animate a rabbit having sex with a deer.
Is it like?
They're just like, okay.
You guys go to the zoo. You're like, all right, let's just watch the rabbits. Or you're like, all right, boys, we're going to the strip club. We're going to research. We're going to go on location research.
We did go to a strip club.
I knew it. I knew it.
Okay. Guys, sorry. To be accurate, we went to a pole dancing club, not a strip club.
Okay.
You guys taking notes? You guys are taking notes?
It's reference material.
It's research purposes.
It's because there's a pole dancing character.
I know. I watched it and I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Season 1, I could get away with saying I wasn't a furry, but season 2, it's just getting harder and harder to argue this.
Oh no, I went into the anime already a furry. I was already converted. I just need to ask, why did you have to make Juno so hot?
Yeah, honestly.
Wait, what does that look? What does that look?
Why did you have to make her so hot?
Every single character in that show is hot.
Oh no.
Wait.
Okay, I will admit Legacy also hot. But Juno, I don't know what it is about Juno that awoke something in me. Because she, I think, single-handedly turned me into a furry.
Oh. I think there's something wrong with my brain. I can only envision the deer is called Stanley. I don't know why. What is his name?
It's Louis.
Louis. I always think of him as Stanley in my head. It
would have been such a different anime if his name was Stanley.
Louis is hot.
Louis is also hot.
Glasses and
And I just I remember that scene. I think it was end of season 1
where a gun, right?
Oh yeah.
Just like, okay.
Why don't these just do that in real life?
Tell me you were raised by the man who made Becky without telling me.
God, it was just that scene where it was like Juno and Louis together.
Oh.
And like she's just on top of him. I'm just like I could feel neurons just firing at
This
that moment.
sounds weird. This sounds weird to anyone who hasn't seen Beast.
I can only get so wrecked.
I mean, it could be a lot of less. What we do is that it's mocapped.
Oh, so, yeah. I was going to go into that actually. So I assume that most 3D studios don't do mocap?
A lot of 3D studios do mocap, but they use it totally different way from us.
So how do you guys use it as opposed to other 3D
So
studios?
for us, it's only a reference. So for example, you know how Pixar animators, they act on camera to animate their scene?
Yeah.
Basically, we're just doing that in mocap. So
Okay.
all our animators are doing the motion capture.
Oh, okay.
okay.
How extensively is that used? Is that like every scene or just
Every physically doable scene. So it's just regular, just talking like this.
Right.
Our animators do it, but if it's like dancing, fighting, martial art and stuff, we have hire professional people to do it.
You have to hire like professional martial artists?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Or professional motion capture, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, how does that work? So they come into the studio one day and you kind of like, do you come up with the choreography or do you get them to come up with the fight choreography?
Usually we hire someone to come up with the choreography.
Right. So how does that read in a script versus how like what?
Seeing why this took 5 years now.
Yeah.
Adding these steps on more than I thought it was just some dude just playing around with a model.
Just wiggling it around.
What the hell is this? We're hiring people to act it out?
Yeah, so it's like I'm super curious. So like let's say in the script there's a scene in Trigun. Vash fights a baddie or something. How much detail is in the script that the choreographer has to work with to, I guess, make the action scene?
Action scene actually relies heavily more on the storyboard. So in the script, it could be just like one line at times.
Okay. So
I feel because Vash is kind of, I feel a little bit different because a lot of his movements are just very animated, like to the point where it's almost like it's the kind of comedic like animated where it's like, oh, that's clearly the movements of a cartoon character or like an anime character, right? It's like a lot of movements where it's like a human couldn't possibly do that kind of movement, but it's believable because it's not a real actor you're looking at.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I feel that kind of movement would be super hard for like a mocap actor to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like especially watching Vash's, like a lot of his character is in his animation, especially when he's like pirouetting round bullets and all that kind of stuff. So in terms of like storyboarding, I guess, going back to the timeline of like an anime being made. So you have the script, and then does the storyboard come after that? And then
when the script's finalized, we start doing storyboard.
Right.
So in our case, we do something called pre-scoring after that. So instead of recording, most animes in Japan record after when they start doing animation. But for us, we do recording before we start doing animation because we want to make all the pacing of the film before our animators go in.
Okay, I guess that explains the perfect lip syncing then, because I was like, that would have been hard as fuck to do.
Do you make a film to make a film?
Yes.
It's weird how to get better animation, you just need to bring more human involvement in the animation.
Basically, our concept is that how can we use the experience, but instead of relying solely on people experience, how do we make that as a system? So if we could adapt that experience into a system first, then next project, we could use that system as a foundation to gain more experience.